I mailed my ML the receipts for every family favor since our wedding. So my mother-in-law Diane has this thing she does where nothing anyone else does actually counts. Like it exists, but it doesn't count. My husband Ryan and I got married 3 years ago, and since then I've kind of become the default person for everything. Airport runs, dog sitting, setting up her new phone twice because she forgot the password she wrote down on the back of an envelope she threw away. And I didn't mind at first, honestly. That's what you do. But somewhere along the way it stopped being asked and started being assumed. The thing that actually set this off was Easter. We're at her house, whole family, maybe 14 people. Ryan's sister Megan is there with her husband, and Diane is going around the table doing her little roll call of who's been good to her lately. She goes, "Megan drove me to my cardiology appointment in February, and she didn't complain once." Megan kind of waved it off, which, fine, it was one appointment. Then Diane looked at me and said, "It'd be nice if everyone pitched in like that." I said, "Diane, I've driven you to 11 appointments." She said, "Well, you live closer." Everybody laughed, like it was a joke. Like proximity is the reason I've spent 4 hours in a cardiology waiting room reading a laminated pamphlet about sodium. And Ryan just kept eating. That's the part that got me. He looked at his ham, so I let it go at the table because I'm not gonna be the person who ruins Easter. But in the car I said, "Why didn't you say anything?" He said, "She didn't mean anything by it." I said, "She said it in front of your whole family." He said, "You know how she is, just let it roll off." And I said, "Okay." I actually said okay. And then I went home and I opened my email. Here's the thing about me. Not in a creepy way, I'm just a person who doesn't delete things. So I have 3 years of Venmo history, 3 years of Amazon orders shipped to her address, 3 years of gas receipts from when she moved apartments, and I made 6 trips in my Honda because her couch wouldn't fit in Megan's Prius. I sat there until like 1 a.m. going through it, and it wasn't even about the money at first. It was the amount of days. There's a receipt from a Wendy's off the interstate at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday because I drove her home from the airport when her flight got delayed and she wanted a Frosty. So I printed all of it, not a spreadsheet, not a lecture, just the receipts in order with a sticky note on the ones that had context. Storage unit deposit, you said you'd pay this back in June. Vet bill for Biscuit while you were in Florida. Phone, the second one. 41 pages. I put it in a manila envelope and I mailed it to her house. Just the pages. She called Ryan 4 days later. He put her on speaker in the kitchen, which I don't think he meant to do so much as he panicked. She said, "Did you know about this?" Ryan said, "About what?" She said, "She sent me I don't even know what this is. It's like a bill. Is she billing me?" And I said, "From the sink. It's not a bill. You don't owe me anything." She said, "Then what is it?" I said, "It's the list of everything that doesn't count." She was quiet for a second. Then she said, "This is a very passive-aggressive thing to do, honey." I said, "It's 41 pages of things I did for you. If reading it feels bad, imagine doing it." Ryan was making the face, the wrap it up face, turning his hand over like a wheel. Diane said, "I have never once said you don't do anything." I said, "You said it Sunday, at the table." And then everybody laughed, and your son ate his ham. Ryan said, "Hey," and Diane said, "Well, I certainly won't be asking you for anything again." And I said, "Okay, just okay," because I think she wanted me to say no. Of course you can ask, don't be like that. That's the whole trick, right? You threaten to stop taking and everybody trips over themselves to keep giving. She said, "You're serious." I said, "Diane, I'm not mad, I'm just done being the one who doesn't count. Call Megan." She didn't complain once. The line went quiet. Ryan reached over and hung up for her. Then he said, "You embarrassed me." I said, "I mailed an envelope to one person's house. You embarrassed me in front of 14. He hasn't asked me to drive her anywhere since."